Welcome back to the Talkin Chop podcast, brought to you by the folks at Chief of Staff KC, your local trusted talent scouts making connections that matter.
That's right.
Joining us this week is Sara Hart Weir, CEO of At the Table. Sara, how are you this week?
I'm doing well. Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
So welcome. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
Well, that was some win on Sunday night, huh? I was at the game, and again, I was telling them before the show, I can't remember the last time Arrowhead was that electric. The second quarter on. But even though it was awesome to kind of lay Big Ben's career to rest,
that's right.
We're on to bigger and better things. This Sunday night, as the Bills come to town for an AFC Championship rematch, that's sure to be probably a slugfest. So we'll get into our takes soon, but first we're bringing you our positions of the week, brought to you by Chief of Staff KC, your local trusted talent scouts making connections that matter. We're a recruiting firm in Brookside, and we'll bring you the best accounting and finance, admin, marketing, HR, operations, and sales talent that Kansas City has to offer. What do we got this week, Lucas?
So I've been out of the office, unfortunately, a few weeks. So I'm back in it. I'm getting my feet wet again. The newest one actually is a pretty unique one. It's a controller or CFO for I think it actually is a nonprofit, but it's an American Sign Language requirement essentially for the CFO or controller position with a company that's constantly flourishing, but they've gone through some change, and so they need to bring in a new CFO or controller that has sign language. So it's a fun one to work on, very specific, targeted. You know what you're seeking. So any sign language accountants out there, please give us a shout. Sales, marketing, operations, they're still cooking. I've yet to talk to Lisa Akery, but
I got a couple.
Do you have a couple?
So on our HR side of things, we have an HR manager role and then more of like an entry-level HR position.
Nice.
Lisa does a great job with all human resources roles at Chief of Staff, and we got plenty open right now. So whether you're new to your HR career or you've got several years of experience, we've got plenty of openings right now. Would love to talk. So reach out. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Sara, thank you so much for being here. We're excited to talk some, shop and then talk chop towards the end. Would love to show, our viewers here, a little bit more about your background. So do you mind elaborating a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I serve as CEO and founder of At the Table.
Sure.
I started this firm about a year and a half ago, shortly after I ran for Congress.
Exciting.
I've really worked in the disability community for the last 2 decades. It's hard to believe. Started off in undergrad serving as a peer mentor or disability support provider to a young woman with Down syndrome and autism here in Kansas City. She was really my inspiration for getting involved. I had the opportunity to get to know her name's Casey.
Sure.
Get to know Casey and her family and really understand firsthand through my experience and my friendship with her, just the inequities and the discrimination that people with disabilities face in our society. And so that really, I guess, charted my career path to becoming not just an advocate, but an activist for people with disabilities. After grad school, spent some time in Washington, D.C., ultimately became the CEO of the National Down Syndrome Society, which our mission at the time was to be the leading human rights organization for people with Down syndrome and their families. Got to do some really cool stuff while I was there, led on probably the most bipartisan piece of legislation ever passed in the halls of Congress and signed by President Obama in 2014 that essentially let people with disabilities save their own money up until the time this legislation passed. It's called the ABLE Act. People with disabilities couldn't save more than $2,000 without putting their benefits in jeopardy, so their health care and other supports and services. And so we ended up passing that bill with 85% of the entire Congress.
That's awesome.
This was only 7+ years ago, hard to believe.
Crazy
but
to think about,
we got Bernie Sanders and Jim Jordan to actually agree on something. It was certainly a piece of legislation that I still work on today. People with disabilities can save their own money. And then ultimately went to run for Congress in Kansas's 3rd district in the 2020 cycle. Got
awesome.
second in a crowded 5-way primary. And since then been really just pitching in to help other nonprofits do good, working with the state of Missouri on some COVID response, and really just waking up every day and helping people make a difference in their lives.
Love it.
I love that. Yeah, no, I appreciate the high level overview. That's great.
Yeah, it sounds like a career of impact. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, our Casey likes to call us the conduits of culture, and so we ask kind of about recruiting questions.
That's right.
It's a mouthful right there. So from your experience, running your team with the National Down Syndrome Society, and then also even your own congressional team as well, and then currently with your own company. When you either hire someone or you're managing a team, what do you really look for when it comes to culture, and why is that important to you?
Yeah, I think culture is crucially important from the moment you step into that door to recruit somebody to the moment that person joins the team, and then hopefully retains and stays on that team.
Right.
I think that's what we all want. Although you guys probably want people to hop from job to job, which is great too. Culture starts at the top, and I think as a leader of running organizations, running a congressional campaign, and helping nonprofits have that mission driven that impact. Culture is tremendously important, and so I have always led with the philosophy. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And as a leader, having that passion and that purpose, and as cheesy as it sounds, leading by example is tremendously important.
Yeah, 100%. Now you hit the nail on the head. Culture is crucial. We've noticed that entirely over the pandemic, and what clients are retaining a lot of their employees and what clients are not, and vice versa. So you're exactly right. Now to kind of transition though to our quick hitter segment, I have 3 questions to kind of run by you real fast. It'll be a first down, a sack, and a Hail Mary. This could be personally or professionally, but we'll start with the first down. So a recent bit of success you have had that will lead to sequential success.
So I love the football analogies. I think one of our recent successes, I've been working with a local organization called Reaching Out From Within. And during our work for Reaching Out Within, it's a 40-year-old organization that essentially is in a prison rehabilitation program.
Sure.
Incarceration led by prisoners inside the walls.
That's awesome.
To get their self-help and go through kind of an evidence-based curriculum to transition back out into the community. It's all about giving people another chance. Yeah. So I've had the opportunity to work with this organization for the last 6 or so months. We've really turned around the board. We've turned around the way we're approaching our fundraising, which is all going to really impact the growth and expanding what we've done in the state of Kansas to other regions.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a huge first down. That's exciting.
Yeah, we'll take it.
That's right. What about a sack? And sometimes this has a negative connotation tied to it, right? But it could be something where you had a small setback that you quickly overcome.
Yeah, so I ran for Congress, and got second and lost, and of course worked my butt off to be the next congresswoman from this district, and came up a little short.
Sure.
Certainly a setback, but that experience taught me so much about life. When you put your name on the ballot, you really put yourself out there.
Sure.
I had super PAC attack ads against me on TV.
Oh, man.
The mean Facebook messages, you name it.
Yeah.
It happens in a congressional race. And of course, certainly disappointing to come out, a couple thousand votes short in something that you put your life on for 2+ years.
Sure.
But it's allowed me to kind of refocus and take my energy and my passion and my expertise to really impact other organizations. And I'm a firm believer on both sides of the aisle, we need new leadership, and true leaders let others lead, and it's time to have a new generation step up. So with that, I've had the opportunity now to chair Kansas for term limits, because I'm kind of just sick of career politicians on both sides, and really going to encourage other young people to step up,
awesome.
Men and women, to lead our country forward.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's super exciting. Absolutely. And then lastly, Hail Mary. What's a big goal you have that you're working on for next 12 months or so?
So this is certainly a Hail Mary, and not to get too wonky, but it is it is about employment, and it's about the next generation of how we truly get people with disabilities integrated into our workforce. We still have a standard, a 1938 law from the Fair Labor Standards Act that allows for the practice of paying people with disabilities less than minimum wage.
Wow.
It's called subminimum wage, 14C. There's been legislation introduced for many, many years to do away with this practice, because how do you tell somebody who's born deaf or born with autism or Down syndrome that their life and their earnings are less than the three of us sitting at this table? So my Hail Mary is to let's finally pick up the ball, and some of the organizations I'm working with to advocate for us to repeal this 1938, this 80-plus-year-old law, and actually allow people with disabilities to be compensated fairly in our society.
Yeah,
Wow.
I love that.
That's exciting. That's a huge Hail Mary, Patrick Mahomes style for sure, and could easily see a completion there, right? So I wish you luck and all of those endeavors for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Those were great quick hitter segment.
Yeah, no, really impressive. Again, I echo everything Lucas is saying. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, it sounds like you really have a good purpose in life, good passion as well. So even though you did have a setback, it sounds like you're continuing to move forward, and wish you all the best here.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, that was Talkin' Shop. We'll get into some Talkin' Shop here with the Chiefs coming up. So what we like to do is just do a quick recap of our previous game, and then we'll get into our preview of the Bills game. But in the spirit of Andy Reid, we always give our guests the first take on each game.
That's
so
right.
How did you think the Chiefs played on Sunday night against the Steelers?
Well, I think we probably all recognize it was a little slow start.
Yeah.
But thanks to the fans in the stands out at Arrowhead, I think we quickly turned that around.
Oh, yeah.
I think the energy, the excitement, really started in that second quarter to have us cooking with gas. And I think, obviously, at the end of the game, the points and the score and the victory speak for itself. Let's take that momentum into this weekend. And most importantly, let's come out with a victory.
Yeah, sure. It sounds so cliche because every team is a momentum-based team. But for some reason, these Chiefs it's like lighting a fire with the logs soaked in gasoline every time we explode. And it was 5 touchdowns in 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah. It was ridiculous of NFL game time. So, I mean, it was like just one adrenaline-packed touchdown after another, and there was the finish line. I felt like we already passed it once we scored that many. I knew we were probably going to be A-okay, and it's just, I think, finding a way to do that sooner against the Bills coming up. I know we're still talking about the Steelers game, but that's where my head goes is we can't have that slow of a start again. But boy, was it fun to watch Patrick Mahomes and company really take off like that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree to kind of pat that stat of that 10 minutes and 30 seconds. It was actually 10 minutes faster than it's ever happened in NFL history.
Wow.
So Patrick Mahomes essentially ran like 5 straight 2-minute drives. Which is crazy when you think about it. So, in my opinion, I think it was really important for us to come out and have that type of victory. You look at the Bills and what they had just done, and Josh Allen throwing like 4 touchdowns, he threw 5 touchdowns and had 300-something yards. So you knew all the media, they were getting ready, like, oh, okay, here we go. Allen's going to take him over, and then Mahomes fires out of a cannon.
Wait a second here. I'm still in this playoff race.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, Big Ben, whatever. I never liked you as a quarterback anyway, so good riddance to you. You're not that great of a person either, so I'd love to see that. So there's some interesting comments at the stadium that
I'm
night.
sure.
So, but yeah, good riddance. He's a great Hall of Fame quarterback, but we're on to Buffalo here. So with Josh Allen and the Bills coming to town, trying to circle the wagons, how do you think the Chiefs fare on this AFC Championship rematch?
Well, we're going to come out on top. There's no question about that.
That's right.
I think this will probably be a very high-scoring game. It's going to be close. It's not going to be an easy one. But I guess my prediction, if I had one, would be we win by a field goal.
Okay. Ooh, I love that. Awesome.
Okay. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I do too. I think it will come down to a field goal or maybe like a last-second drive. I could see that, right? 2-minute warning. Patrick Mahomes is at the helm. We have to score to win sort of situation, so it'll be fun. It will be electric. I think I'll dive into my prediction as well for this game. We'll do a 34-31. I'll do the field goal just like you.
Okay.
I'm going to think it's going to be a high-scoring affair as well. So,
cool.
What about you, Emerson?
Well, I just look back at that Week 5 loss, and there's just so much that's going on that's different now for the Chiefs, also for the Bills. I mean, when you look at it, but when just going back to Week 5, we didn't have Melvin Ingram. Our defense was playing like crap. We didn't have Charvarius Ward or Chris Jones.
No Chris Jones.
Chris Jones is the heart and soul of that defense, especially when he was playing defensive end at that point in the season.
True.
We had 0 pass rush. We had 4 turnovers. They had Tre'Davious White. They're not going to have Tre'Davious White this game. I mean, there's just a lot going on that's different. And, something in me thinks that we're going to win by 2 scores, but I'm not going to predict that. I think it will be close, but I could also see us coming out and just smacking them. We have really good momentum. I think they're riding a little too high, in my opinion. I think they do have that rematch feeling coming in from the AFC Championship game. But that's what Week 5 was for them. That was their rematch, right? They've already come in and beat us at home. They stomped us at home on Sunday night, But in that second half of that game, our defense shut them down.
That's
and, we kind of started to turn a corner there. So, again, if we limit turnovers, if we come out and we start quick, again, I remember saying this over the last 2 years during the playoff runs. It was always about starting quick. We never start quick. It was always a comeback. So, I mean, we'll see how it shakes out. But, I'm gonna predict 28-27.
Okay.
I think it's going to be down to the wire. Again, I could see us coming out and stopping them, but I'm not going to predict that. We're going to 28-27 Chiefs. Tucker, what are you thinking, man?
I'm going to go
24-20.
Okay.
I think the line's Chiefs -2, so field goal covers that. So, do you have like a specific score prediction? You want to stick to the field goal?
I'm going to stick to the field goal.
Gotcha.
Let's hope and let's pray that we just come out strong from the get-go, that there's not this ramp-up period into the second quarter.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to watch. Someone put a stat out there, like Josh Allen, when he has these pivotal games with 5 touchdowns or whatever, the following game typically it's been a regression. So knock on wood, if you want to do that again, Josh, for us, please.
I just don't think Josh has that same clutch gene that Patrick does.
A little different.
And people have always said this is going to be the next Manning Brady. Again, I'm kind of more of a after watching Joe Burrow over the last couple weeks, I'm starting to think that might be the rivalry. But they got a big game over there in Nashville. We'll see what Titans team comes out. We'll see if Derrick Henry can come out. But hopefully, I want the Bengals at home in the championship. Because I think we take it to them.
That would be fun.
Hopefully, we're here next week saying that same thing.
That's
We
will.
That's right. That's right. Manifestation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, that does it for week. I think this is 19 of Talkin' Shop. We've been in and out with COVID over the last couple weeks, but thanks for sticking with us. But yeah, whether you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, make sure to follow us along the rest of the playoff run as we interview some of Kansas City's top execs and personalities like Sarah.
Yep.
But again, thanks for being with us today. It was great learning more about your background and all the impact you're making. Wish you nothing but success moving forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
You're so welcome.
Of course. Well, we'll catch you all next week, and as always,
Go Chiefs.